News NUG update. I have a handful of these white fire nugs smelling good. 5 news stories to bring to you this week from the cannabis industry and community worldwide. The first story is coming from former U.S. President Bill Clinton. And while he was in Mexico, he was interviewed and he kind of apologized to Mexico. It's a bit of an awkward story. He says that he's very sorry that we basically cleaned up through his administration and the policies in place, cleaned up the air and sea drug trafficking so well that the traffickers had to go to Mexico, strengthened the cartel system in place because they had to run drugs over the border on foot, and there was a lot more violence as a result of kind of funneling drug trafficking into one country, one border, rather than land, sea, and air divided up. It's a really awkward apology, I think, and it basically is just saying we haven't fixed the problem, we just gave it to you. Not our issue anymore. Good luck, Mexico. That's kind of fucked up. So obviously cartels are a huge issue in Mexico. I think a lot of people are aware of that. And I think it needs to be said that the people of Mexico don't necessarily want that. The people of Mexico are not the ones supporting the cartels and the violence in place. They are essentially held hostage to this violence in their country. So it's really important that the U.S. moves forward with policies that don't just shuffle around our issues and shuffle around the violence away from our land and sea where we can track it and just give it to another country on their land borders. It's not fair, it's not right, and Bill Clinton obviously realizes this because he's like, sorry for moving all that trafficking to you guys, my bad. Weird and awkward. The next News Nug story is from Vermont, and Vermont is looking to be the next state to legalize recreational use, as they call it, for marijuana. Recreational would mean that you don't need a medical marijuana recommendation from a doctor. You don't need a prescription. You can't prescribe something until it's FDA regulated, but you don't need a recommendation from your doctor to go and purchase cannabis under their proposed bills. It's Senate Bill 95 in Vermont. It would legalize the possession, sale, and use of marijuana for those 21 or older. There is some back and forth on how exactly it will be enforced. A marijuana control board would be established to oversee the industry and enforce the regulations that are put in place. And it's pretty exciting because, as far as I can tell, this might be something that's moving forward without the people putting it first to vote. This might be something, if I can find the exact thing in the... Vermont legislators have a great opportunity to show leadership by passing a marijuana regulation bill in 2015, and they should seize it. Most Vermonters understand that marijuana is objectively safer than alcohol, and they know it makes no sense to punish adults for using a safer substance. I'm pretty sure this one would be the first state, there we go, I had to look it up for just a second. It's the first state in history to legalize use for adults, not medical, just use for adults, via state legislature with a new bill. That means the people are not bringing it up first. The state legislation is maybe moving forward with this, and it is really, really exciting because as much as the people are calling for cannabis, it's taking too long in every state. So whatever we have to do to move forward, it's awesome, and Vermont is making those jumps and strides and bounds. They're getting there. So way to go. It's Senate Bill 95 is what I was looking at. The next story is definitely relevant for anyone that owns a car and consumes cannabis. As long as medical marijuana has been talked about publicly and policies have been in place, we've had to consider how you're going to be driving well medicated. When we move forward with legal marijuana or recreational marijuana, it's an obvious concern that if people are having safe access to this substance, how are they getting to and from the pickup point? Are they safe to drive? What are we going to do? Well, I've always advocated for more research and personal responsibility when it comes to driving while impaired. You cannot drive while impaired. Do not. It's illegal no matter what substance you're on. Even if you're just tired, distracted, whatever it is, don't drive while impaired. Does cannabis automatically impair you? It's not really for sure, and I'm going to say no. This study came from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, and they found that consuming marijuana does not elevate your crash risk as a driver. It's a surprising result for those in power, but it's not that surprising if you've been behind the wheel after medicating for the day. I think it's something that we're going to have a lot more research done on, and I really am excited about this study in particular because it does prove what I've already found inherently true, that you're not impaired just because you consumed cannabis. And we already know if there's cannabinoids in your bloodstream, and they do test for presence of cannabinoids through a blood test or mouth swab or whatever it's going to be in the future. That doesn't inherently mean that you were a reckless driver. We don't have that connection yet. This study even says that there's not that connection. So it's good news for us. More research will no doubt be done. And this study was done, like I said, by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, and the article came from USA Today. Two more stories for this news nug. The next story is from NPR, and I picked it because I saw it published everywhere. It's one I don't think we need to spend too much time talking about, but it's basically, the headline is, How Marijuana Hijacks Your Brain to Give You the Munchies. I think it's kind of a red herring. This article, the way that I read it, was almost to say that you are powerless to the munchies, that you cannot control your appetite, and that you will undoubtedly become overstuffed with food if you consume cannabis. That's not true. For me as a medical marijuana patient, I find I have trouble eating unless I'm medicated. As I think it's Adam on Workaholic said, I literally cannot eat until I've smoked. I find that to be true. I totally find it to be true. There are other patients that use cannabis, many patients, for appetite stimulation, and that is a good thing. To say that we are powerless to munchies is a bad thing. We are not powerless to cannabis. When I'm full, I recognize that in my brain and I stop. This goes on to say that the signals that tell you you're full are overridden. It shuts down POMC neurons, and in mice, they became morbidly obese. I just really don't find that to be accurate based on the cannabis long-term users that I've known in my life and just the other research that I've seen. There's one study that was mentioned in the POP book, which I've referenced a bunch of different times, but in the POP book, they actually blocked cannabinoid receptors from feeling pleasure from food. Like, you know, if you get high and you eat, you get all buzzed, everything tastes good. They blocked that in some way, and people commit suicide in the trials because it's not just about food tasting good, it's about satisfaction of life. We are able to stop eating when we're full. Train yourself, work hard, practice, set small portions. Don't keep a lot of junk food in the house. You're not powerless to the munchies. I've already spent too much time on this one. It's an interesting read about the chemicals in the brain, but I don't think your brain is hijacked. I like NPR. I like most of the things they put forward. I don't think your brain is hijacked. I think it's maybe the lanes are opened up. Maybe you're in one lane and there's a new lane that you could eat more and that one opens up. But it's not going to hijack your car and take you into that lane. You're going to just be like, maybe I'll go in that lane, maybe not. Maybe I'll just smoke another bowl and not eat. Whatever. Anyway, the next story, the last story from this week's News Nug Ramble, is about a group. We know this group, MPP, Marijuana Policy Project, and they are urging a boycott of Holiday Inn hotels. I haven't stayed at a Holiday Inn in a little while. I prefer other hotels, but Holiday Inn is all right. They've had all right hotel rooms, and the biggest problem that we're seeing right now is that they have a particular franchise owner in Colorado. It's not Holiday Inn as a whole organization, but it is one owner of a Holiday Inn that is representing his Holiday Inn in this lawsuit, saying that he's lost business because of legalization in Colorado. How do you lose business after legalization in Colorado as a hotel owner? What is wrong with you? Doesn't make any sense. He's with one other person in this lawsuit. Looking through the thing. I'm not seeing who the other person is in the lawsuit, but New Vision Hotels 2. Something like that. New Vision Hotels 2, maybe that's the other one. I don't know. They're basically saying that prohibition needs to be reinforced in Colorado, that federal law trumps state law, which can legally be said to be true, but we've already seen Colorado moving forward with legalization. We've seen the federal government issue statements that they're not going to stop it. Hopefully, we'll see how that goes. But for a hotel to say that they've lost business since legalization, and for them to sue saying that prohibition needs to be back in place in that state, no, not something I will support, not something I will ever give my money to. And if you guys have stayed at a Holiday Inn, don't do it again. Let them see that maybe they have lost business since legalization, but not supporting legalization is going to lose them a whole lot more business. So withdraw your money from Holiday Inn, get them Holiday out, and let them know that legalization is here to stay, and they better just get on board and find a way to make some money like everyone else. Losing business after legalization in Colorado as a hotel. You're an idiot if that's the case. It's not even legalization's fault. That was it for the News NUG update. Thank you for watching, and I hope you're smoking along with me. Stay informed and stay high, you guys.